Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends. It's your buddy Boogeyman Ben here for a new episode of Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone, and this is part 5 of my top 100 horror films of all time. This video series has been quite an undertaking. Coming up with my top 100 horror films has not been easy. I'm really happy with the response these videos are getting. Seems like people are really into them. Each one of the videos has hit pretty well in terms of people watching it and commenting on it, and I really appreciate everyone's feedback. I'm glad that no one is giving me a bad time for some of my picks, even though there have been a few people questioning like why I picked some films over others. There hasn't been any nasty comments, and I really appreciate that. Again, these are all my opinions. I'm not telling anybody that they need to like something because I like it a certain way. A lot of times these titles that are in my top 100, they're here because they have a special meaning to me. They were part of my youth. They were something that really triggers a really fun time when I was a kid. And that's why they're here. They might not be the best movies, they might not even be the best horror movies, but there's something special about them that I really appreciate. And I just remember how I felt seeing them for the first time with friends or family or whomever. It's just my experiences, and that's why these films mean so much to me. So today we're going to be talking about numbers 60 through 51. So without further ado, let's get started. So number 60 on my list is going to go to Saw 3. I really enjoyed Saw 3. The original intention, based on, at the time, was that this was going to be the final film. This was the last one that Leigh Whannell wrote, and it was the end of the Jigsaw storyline. Pretty much they could have capped it off with this. I would have been fine with it. There was a couple of little things here and there that made me question if it really was going to be the last film. And I really like the personal touch to this one, where it's based upon a personal tragedy where Jeff's son has been killed, and all the people he holds responsible are a part of his final test, and through this whole game that Jigsaw has set up for him. And I really liked it, and I really thought Angus McFadden was really good in it. Of course, Tobin Bell was fantastic in it, as was Shawnee Smith as Amanda. This was also directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, who I'm a huge fan of. And there was some of the most grotesque and cringe-inducing traps are in this one, like the pig slop one and the rack. This would have been a fine swan song for the franchise. I'm glad they kept going because I did like a few of the sequels more than this one, but still a great film and was a fantastic experience seeing it in the theater. Number 59 on my list is going to go to Child's Play 3. I liked that it was different. I liked the military school setting. I did miss Alex Vincent as Andy, but I thought that Justin Whalen did a good job. And I also liked that it was different because in this case, Chucky is not going after Andy, he's going after Tyler. And so Andy has become like Mrs. Barkley in the first film. He's protecting Tyler and trying to keep him away from Chucky. And I just love, like I said, I love the military school setting. I love the final act, which I think is probably next to the original, my favorite final act of any Child's Play film. And of course, Brad Dourif is just fantastic in the film, as always, as the voice of Chucky. I think this is a great film and one of the top films for me in the Child's Play franchise. Number 58 is going to go to Final Destination. And I saw this film twice in the movie theater. Once with my girlfriend at the time, sold out crowd, and I had no idea what I was in for. This film really shook me because, again, I was in that age. I was, my early to mid 20s. I was just getting ready to graduate college, and this film really freaked me out about how vulnerable we are to accidents. Of course, they embellish it a bit and it's a little far-fetched and everything, but the whole idea of cheating death really was a new concept for a horror film. But prior to this, you had physical beings that were coming after you. You had slashers, creatures, you had ghosts at some point, but this is death. This is death itself, and the thing that really works about this franchise is you don't see death. It's just this thing that if you have cheated death in some way and you were supposed to die at a certain point, it's going to come back and it's going to get you, and it's going to get you in a very harsh way. And I really love everyone in this film. I was a fan of Devon Sawa from Idle Hands. I had liked him in that. Sean William Scott, a huge fan of his from American Pie. Everybody else in this film did a great job. Kerr Smith, Ali Larter, and of course Tony Todd making his appearance. I love him in this film, and I just think this film is terrific. It's got some terrific set pieces, some that still make me jump at the time. It was so much fun seeing this once and reacting and being freaked out, and then going to see it with my friends later and knowing where all the beats were going to come and watching them squirm in their seats. Absolutely love this film. Still fun to watch. I just watched it the other day. Still an amazing film. Absolutely love it. Number 57 on my list is going to go to Scream 4. One of the early videos I did on this channel was a review of Scream 4. This movie came out on my birthday in 2011. It was so much fun to go see this and have a horror movie come out on my birthday. I just remember how pumped I was, and I remember buying my tickets early, just thinking so many people were going to be at this film. It's going to be a packed house, just like it had been when I saw Scream 1, 2, and 3, and how empty the midnight show for this was, and it was so depressing, and I just couldn't believe that no one really cared about this film. This film didn't do very well, and it was pretty heartbreaking for someone that had grown up with the Scream films and was really looking forward to there being another trilogy, because this was supposed to be the beginning of two more, like a new trilogy. There was supposed to be 2 more films after this, but because of the poor box office, that never came to fruition, and instead they did the Scream television series, which I did like. The first 2 seasons I did like. But I love Scream 4. I think Scream 4 is the best sequel in the franchise. I like that it's a much darker film than Scream 3 was. I love that this one went back to Woodsboro. This one deals with social media and those type of elements and remakes, and I mean, I just thought it was really well done, and the kills in this are so much more brutal. So great to see some of the surviving cast members come back for this film. Such a blast. I enjoyed it then. I love it now. Still a great film, and my favorite sequel in the Scream franchise. #56 on my list is going to go to A Nightmare on Elm Street 2: Freddy's Revenge. I always have loved this film, and I know that it has the stigma of being called the gayest horror film ever made. I think it's stupid. Who gives a shit? I didn't care about it, when I was younger. It didn't bother me. I didn't really know too much about that. I figured that there was something. I don't know how I did find out that Mark Patton was gay when I was younger. I didn't care. I thought he did a great job as Jesse in this. It was so great meeting Mark Patton last year. One of the nicest guys I've ever met, and I do have his signature on this. It says he's inside me, Mark Patton, Jesse. He may personalize it to me, and then he even signed it on the inside on the disc, which is really cool. Just a super awesome guy. I also met Kim Myers, who played Lisa in the film. She signed it right there. I wish I could say that experience was as nice as meeting Mark Patton, but I'd be lying. But enough said about that. I did think she did a great job in this film, as did Robert Ressler, Marshall Bell. Can't say enough great things about Clu Gulager, and then of course Robert Englund as Freddy. I still think this is one of the scariest incarnations of Freddy. This and the original Nightmare on Elm Street are the scariest incarnations of him. I really think he's completely evil in this film, and I love that he is using Jesse is kind of his avatar, which is a little bit strange, because it is a different tone to what Wes Craven set up, but I like that it was different. I like that it didn't try to just play off the conventions of the original film. I like that it was its own beast, and I think it's still a really effective horror film. It scared me when I was a kid. I still think it's a great film. One of the best films in the franchise, in my opinion. Number 55 on my list is going to go to Halloween 3: Season of the Witch, a film that probably 5-6 years ago, if you had asked me about this film, it wouldn't even be anywhere near my top 100. For the longest time, I just didn't like this film, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that it didn't have Michael Myers in it. Once I started getting into doing this channel, I wanted to watch more Halloween-themed movies. I kind of wanted to just give this movie another shot, because I had only seen it a few times, and they were when I was a kid. It happened to be on HBO or something. I was shocked at how much I loved it, and it was a shock to me that for a movie that I had trashed for so many times, even in video content on this channel, if you want to go way back and look at stuff that I recorded back in 2011, I said how much I hated this film. And I think it's just, sometimes you can fall into this kind of mob mentality where everybody rips on a film because it doesn't play to what you think it should be, or it sort of goes so far out of left field and doesn't have anything to do with the other films in a franchise, and that's kind of what happened with this. It didn't have Michael Myers in it. It was called Halloween 3, which I still think was a mistake. I think they should have just called it Season of the Witch. Just get rid of the Halloween 3 because it doesn't have anything to do with the first two films in the franchise. But this is really a terrific film. I love the whole idea of the Silver Shamrock Company and the masks and how they're gonna kill all the children on Halloween. You have the amazing Tom Atkins in it, who I got to meet last year, and he signed a Halloween 3 poster for me. Just one of the best convention experiences I ever had. He was just a true gentleman and just was so in awe of being around him. You also have Stacey Nelkin and Dan O'Herlihy, and I thought that the music, the Silver Shamrock theme, is so fantastic. It's my ringtone during Halloween. And then, of course, directed by the amazing Tommy Lee Wallace. He did a great job with this film. Atmospherically creepy. I love the concept of it, and I think it's executed perfectly. And I don't know what the fuck I was thinking saying that it was a shitty movie for all those years. Absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites. Number 54 on my list is going to go to Black Christmas. Love this film. The atmosphere in this is perfect. The fact you never really see the killer. And then you have a fantastic cast. The late Margot Kidder, who I think is absolutely fantastic in this. You also have John Saxon, who is again playing another lieutenant. I mean, we know him as Lieutenant Thompson in Nightmare on Elm Street. There's Olivia Hussey. She's so great in this film. But this film is really atmospheric. It's got great humor, great tension, a really demented, creepy killer, and it's one of my Christmas traditions to watch this movie. Number 53 on my list is going to go to Deep Blue Sea. Saw this twice in the movie theater, in 1999 when it came out. Just like Jaws, it just scared the crap out of me. But I loved the cast in this. Of course, you have the amazing Thomas Jane, one of my favorite actors. Another of my favorite actors, Sam Jackson. LL Cool J was fantastic in this. Saffron Burrows, Stellan Skarsgård, Michael Rappaport, and of course, directed by the amazing Renny Harlin. And I still think this is his best movie. But this film is terrifying. I love the shark effects because they combine animatronics with digital. Yes, there's some scenes where you can really tell it's a digital shark, but it works because there are scenes where they're interacting with the sharks. It's not all a computer effect, and it works so well. There's some truly creepy moments in this, and I just absolutely love this film from start to finish. It's just a blast, so much fun to watch, and I can't say enough great things about it. Number 52 on my list is going to go to 30 Days a Night. One of the best vampire movies ever made. It's easily the best vampire movie that's come out in the last 22 years. So much atmosphere in this film. Absolutely love the location of Barrows, Alaska. I have read Stephen Niles' graphic novel series. I did read it after I saw the movie. But just the idea of vampires invading this town in Alaska that's plunged into darkness for 30 days. It's just so interesting and original. And I thought the cast was fantastic. Of course, Josh Hartnett, who I was a fan of from, The Faculty and Halloween H20. I think he did a great job in this as Evan. I love Melissa George. Huge fan of hers from the Amityville remake. She's terrific in this as well. But then you also have Ben Foster, who's one of my favorite character actors of all time. Just a terrific chameleon. He can play anything. Danny Houston, who's terrifying as Marlowe. You also have Mark Boone Jr., who everybody knows from Sons of Anarchy. He's terrific in this. And I love director David Slade, and he just does such a great job of bringing you into this world. And the vampires in this are so terrifying. It still evokes so much fear and terror when I watch. Can't say enough great things about it. Number 51 is going to go to The Exorcist 3. Now, this is my favorite Exorcist film. The subtleties in this film, along with the fact that it's really good storytelling, slow-moving story, but so interesting, and fantastically written and directed by the late William Peter Blatty. The cast in this: George C. Scott, Ed Flanders, Brad Dourif, Jason Miller, Scott Wilson. I mean, you can't say enough great things about this cast. The scares in this film are subtly done. There's one scene in this film that still evokes nightmares, and it's one of the scariest scenes in any film I've ever seen, and it totally freaked me and my friend out the first time we saw it. Can't say enough great things about it. Absolutely love this film. So that is going to be it, my fellow fiends. I appreciate everyone taking the time to watch this video. Let me know what you guys think about my selections in the comments section below. Would love to hear from everyone. If you guys want to support this channel, I do have a Patreon page. Link is down below. For as little as $1 a month, you can support what I'm doing here on the channel. It would really mean a lot to me. I'm also starting to do some exclusive Patreon content that won't be published here, so you guys will have access to that if you help support the channel. Also, I have my social media links down below. You got Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And thank you so much for supporting me and supporting this series. And stay tuned for some great stuff coming real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared. Peace.